Polanco is an affluent neighborhood in the Miguel Hidalgo borough of Mexico City. Polanco is an upscale community, famed for its luxury shopping on Avenida Presidente Masrique, the most expensive street in Mexico, as well as for the numerous prominent cultural institutions located within the neighborhood, such as the Museo Somar and the Colección Jumex. Polanco is often called the Beverly Hills of Mexico, having one of the country's densest concentrations of luxury shopping, with the most upscale restaurants, high net worth individuals, upscale hotels, and diplomatic missions and embassies. It is one of the most desirable real estate markets in Latin America. The colony takes its name from a river that crossed what is now the Avenue Campos Elíseos, named in memory of the Spanish Jesuit Juan Alfonso de Polanco, a secretary of Ignatius of Loyola, whose relatives, members of the Polanco family, were members of Board of the Kings of Spain in the 17th century and came to Mexico as officers of the crown, in a plan made by Francisco Antonio Guerrero y Torres and dated 1784. A ruined house Polanco is located on the grounds of the Hacienda de San Juan de los Morales. This hacienda sits on land donated in the 16th century to Hernán Cortés by the King of Spain, under the jurisdiction of Tacuba. At the beginning of the colonial times, parts of this land were occupied for planting mulberry trees for breeding silkworms. The hull of the hacienda is currently known dates from the 18th century. Extension lands belonging to the estate began to be divided in the late 1920s. Polanco was developed in 1937 by the Ailman family, the same developers of Ciudad Satellite and San Jose Insurgents districts, on the land that was originally the Hacienda de los Morales, just north of Molino del Rey town and Bosque de Chapultepec. The first area to be built is now called Polanco Reforma and lies just north of Paseo de la Reforma. The entrance to the new neighborhood marked by a tile obelisk facing Reforma. In those days, there were only mansions surrounded by gardens and tree-lined streets. By the 1960s, the first department store arrived in the neighborhood, forever transforming the face of Polanco. In the 1970s, the last piece of land to be developed was sold, the triangle of Ejército Nacional, Ferrocarril de Cuernavaca and Periférico, where no standalone housing was built, only apartment buildings. The 1985 earthquake reshaped the city layout, and Polanco was no exception. Restaurants, embassies, boutiques and corporate business slowly moved from Zona Rosa and found a great new home in Polanco. Big houses were torn down and replaced with new buildings. The former inhabitants typically moved to neighborhoods such as Bosques de las Lomas and Lomas de Tecamachalco. Today Polanco is facing a challenge. Land prices are some of the most expensive in the city, as zoning rules forbid skyscrapers in the area. There are few big mansions remaining which are protected by INBA. Therefore large building projects cannot be undertaken like the ones in Lomas de Chapultepec or Santa Fe, two areas which have an edge on attracting new inhabitants. Ruben Dario Avenue, facing Chapultepec Park, and Campos Elíseos are two of the most expensive streets in Mexico City, with apartments ranging up to $15 million. Polanco consists of 5 officially recognized colonias, called Polanco I Sección, Polanco II Sección, Polanco III Sección, Polanco IV Sección, and Polanco V Sección. The borders of Polanco are. Formerly Polanco contained 9 colonias whose names were Bosque de Chapultepec, Bosque de Chapultepec Polanco, Chapultepec Morales, Chapultepec Polanco, Los Morales Sección Palmas, Los Morales Sección Alameda, Polanco Reforma, Polanco Chapultepec, and Rincón del Bosque. Polanquito, between Park Lincoln and Avenida Masrique, consists of a 3x3 block pedestrian-friendly area with wall-to-wall restaurants and cafes. Nuevo Polanco is an area bordering Polanco to the north across Avenida Ejército Nacional. It contains the Antara Polanco and Plaza Carso shopping malls, 2 new major museums, and many new residential towers. The population of Polanco is 27,322. Distributed as follows across the colonias. Polanco enjoyed a construction boom in the 1950s. When mansions and luxury apartment complexes were built, the style of construction of most mansions of this period is colonial Californiano, inspired by the Mission Revival style in the southwestern United States, with pseudo-Baroque quarry windows, front-side gardens and inside halls. Some of these mansions have been renovated and converted into businesses and restaurants. Many others have simply been torn down and replaced with new buildings. Polanco is home to some of the most famous restaurants in Mexico and Latin America, many of them being Michelin star rated, with renowned restaurants like Puyol, Dulce Patria, Nobu, Morimoto, Tori Tori, Mr. Chow, Astrad y Gaston,